You can have someone that's speaking life into you, but in their mind, they're wishing death upon you. You can have someone that tells you that they love you when they're conspiring to attack you. You can have someone that claims that they want to see you successful, but in reality, they're setting a stage for you to trip and stumble. They're setting a stage for you to fall on your face. See, and knowing that the world is changing, and the world is changing so rapidly that we have to be careful who we allow to come into our space, that we have to be careful who we allow to get close to us. And it's sad because God did not create us to be isolated. God did not create us to be by ourselves. God did not create us to be alone. God does not want us to be or to feel abandoned. God does not want us to have quarrels with our friends and our family. God does not want us to, struggle and endure oppression and hardships time and time again. But when we know that these times are so uncertain, it's inquired of us to trust. And when you see everything that reminds you that it's very difficult to trust anything when everything is constantly changing, it's in that space where you will learn to trust in the unseen, because the things that we see can lie to us. The things that we touch can be false objects. The things that we smell can cross us. The things that we hear may be superficial. The things that we look at may really be looking at us. The things that we see may be striving to see our soul, to clone our soul, to snatch our soul, to control our soul. See, the things that we see, we have to understand that it's an illusion, that the things that we touch, they are not real, because our mind is programmed to want what it wants. Our mind is programmed to see what it wants to see. Our mind is programmed to hear what we want to hear. Our mind is programmed to taste what we want to taste. Our mind is programmed to want what we want. But far too often, the things that we want aren't the things that we need, because we don't know the things that we need, because our ability to smell is crossed up. Some people say they will trust their nose, and others say, I will trust my gut. But if your digestive system is blocked, if your intestines are calcified, how can you trust your gut? If your sense of smell is crossed, how can you trust your nose? If your vision is screened, how can you trust the things that you see? If your ability to hear is hindered, how can you believe anything that you hear? See, that's why we have to understand that we are not to believe anything that we hear, that we are not to believe anything that we see. Even this video, I want you to pray over it and use your discernment and use your spiritual eyesight to hear. Because see, when your spiritual eyesight is in alignment, that means that you will hear the things that I'm not saying. That means that you will see. You will see the intention. You will learn the parable of the message. See, when your senses is crossed, that means it makes no sense. That means that it is coming to a space of bankruptcy. That means that the currency is a non-factor, because your senses are hindered. Your senses are crossed. So if the senses are crossed, that means that it makes no sense. So to not make any sense, that means that it is bankrupt. That means that the lack of currency is voided. That means that there's no wealth transfer. How can the wealth transfer if the senses are crossed? How can it transfer if the ability to smell is crossed? How can it transfer if it's out of alignment? That we have moved into the space of some very peculiar times, and these times that we're living in, they are so uncertain that you can't trust your gut. They are so uncertain that you can't trust your sense of smell. They are so uncertain that you cannot believe the things that you see. They are so uncertain that you have to question the things that you hear. They are so uncertain. But God is true. God is amazing. God will bring clarity. God will bring confirmation. God will always confirm the validity of a situation. And see, when I said that our ability to see, it is screened. That means that we have to censor the things that we are taking in. We have to censor, and we have to ensure that we are not receiving unsolicited information. We have to watch our diet and be aware of the amount of propaganda that we are consuming. Because if we take in too much, that means that our senses is going to be way somewhere in a whole nother field. See, the reality is that our senses are already crossed, which means that it's not making any sense, which means that it is costing more than it is producing. See, when you come to a space where your senses, which is your sight, your sense of smell, your taste, your hearing, the things that you touch, that's your five senses. The sense is also the coins. The sense is the head and the tails. That's God is the Alpha and the Omega. But common sense isn't common, because how can anyone have common sense if their senses is crossed? Even though we have come to a space and time where we don't understand why things is going on, we don't know why everything around us keep changing, we don't quite understand why everything around us keeps changing, and there is no certainty, because the promises that are given to us, they are void. They are voided before they even come out of an individual's mouth. So see, we have to be careful who we allow to lead us. We have to be careful who we allow to teach us. We have to be careful who lies that we are believing. Because it's those very lies that are planted inside of us. They lie dormant within. These lies, they lie dormant on the inside of us, and eventually they start to show up in your face. Your face will be gray. Your eyes will be puffy. You will sleep and wake up feeling that you have not went to sleep. You will start to see the lies that are dormant on the inside of you. They will start to show up in your life, these lies that we have become accustomed to believing. See, true wealth is health. And when we get to the space and we understand that God said, do not worry. And when we move into that space where we know that God told us to do not worry, that means that we will not worry about anything financial. Because remember, in COVID, it was controlled. God said, do not worry about the food that you will eat, because the birds, they eat. God said, do not worry. See, these times that we are living in, they want us move into a space of fear. They want us living on the edge. They want us uncertain. But God brings certainty. God is true currency. God is the wealth. God is the wealth that is in us. God is that health, that abundant wealth that will heal you when you are burdened with the cares of life. That is the wealth that will restore your mind when you feel that you've come to a space where you can't take no more. That is the wealth of knowing that you will have the strength to continue to rise when everything around you is designed to make you fall. See, that is the wealth of knowing that God is power. And when you lock into that space and know that God is power, you will understand that even though your senses may be crossed, your common sense may be screened, your sense of smell may be hijacked, your ability to think clearly may be confused. So I stopped by to tell you today that even though these times are uncertain and your senses may be crossed, that God is the true wealth. When God is the wealth, you know that you're going to be all right and that you will have the strength to continue to rise and step over every trap that was designed for you to fall in. I do pray that you have an amazing, blessed, and prosperous day. If you have stuck with me this long, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to my channel, hit the thumbs up button, and drop a comment for me in the comment section below and tell me your thoughts on this video. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'm going to catch up with y'all in the next one. And the things that we want aren't the things that we need, because we don't know the things that we need, because our ability to smell is crossed up. Our ability to hear is hindered. Our ability to see is blocked and screened. It is controlled by the superficialities and the propaganda. It is crossed up by the double cross. It is crossed up by the lack of control. It is crossed up by the fragile egos that profess to be bigger than thou, the hypocrites. Our sense of smell is crossed up by the powers that be.